Part 2. What is it, Landon?
Let me get
Give me just a second.
here.
Part 2. Okay, so yes, that's you, baby.
Baby.
So, being in the NICU with her for 3 months, and my mama kept my oldest daughter, Ashlyn. This is her again. And my aunt and uncle, they helped me with her. But that was really another hard part of our lives, because you feel as a mom that you need to be 2 places at one time.
Baby.
And you're torn, and you can't be.
As soon as I tried to put it in,
with both kids at the same time.
It sparked for a second.
Plug in.
Yeah. And they just immediately unplugged it.
Plug it back in, but plug it all in at the same time.
I can't plug them both in at the same time. I need 4 arms for that.
Okay. So, anyways.
Baby.
He's in there trying to catch the house on fire. Plug in the computer charger.
Baby.
So he can charge his phone. They're supposed to be going to bed. They do this every night. We start at 8:30. If you want anything to eat, anything to drink, if you need to do anything, use the bathroom and get in the bed. And then it's like a million other things too. And sometimes I just say, okay, that's it. I'm cutting off the lights. I'm cutting off the TV. You're not going to have anything. And usually that's the point that they listen.
I put it in the lower one and it didn't spark.
Okay, good. Now let me finish my video.
What did the spark mean?
In the bed. That means you shouldn't mess with it. So anyhow, part 2. Now this is
oh baby, Mama, my baby.
You ready to go lay down?
No, baby.
Okay, then we gotta do our video. Are you ready for bed?
No.
Okay, then we gotta be quiet and do this video.
Baby.
That's you. Yeah, you're a baby. You're beautiful.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Okay, listen.
Please.
Part 2. When we got home, we were doing therapy twice a week. We were seeing and I was doing it daily. They wanted me to do it 3 times a day with her. They showed me how to do it. How to get her legs down. We had braces on her hands and feet. She's always had braces her whole life. Therapy her whole life. And later on we started with speech therapy. We had all these specialists we were having to go see. That was rough on our family. It felt like somebody was always picking and poking at me and her for a long time. And when she turned 6 months old, the devil tried to kill her. And that's my part 2 I'm trying to tell you about now. So when she was 6 months old, I always kept Aubrey and Ashlyn in bed with me, like really close to me, because Aubrey would roll over, and just because of all of her problems in general. But when she was 6 months old, this is a picture of her, about 6 months old. You have to excuse this, there's something on the photo. But she would roll over, and she couldn't roll herself back over because of her arms and them not bending. So we had to keep her propped up and wedged up to make sure she did not smother herself. And I kept them close to me. I kept a close eye on her because I was always in flight or fight mode. I was in panic mode with everything that we had just went through with her. So,
baby.
Yes, that's you. Let's look at the video.
Pawpaw.
And
bit out.
So that day, when she was 6 months old, she was running a light temp, and I took her straight to her pediatrician. And they told me Aubrey was teething, which was completely wrong. It was a misdiagnosed urinary tract infection, which later we found out she had a lower reflux to the 3rd degree, which in her urethra tube, the flap inside that opens and closes when you urinate, hers never closed all the way, so she could get bacteria, and the bacteria would back up in there. And the more, when you wear pull-ups, diapers, and stuff like that, the more prone you are to bacteria. So we went through years and years of chronic urinary tract infections. And sit back.
Mama, babies.
You ready for bed?
No.
Okay, listen, we gotta do this video.
Babies.
Yes, Mama's with this baby, with you. So, I don't know what I would have done without my mama. I don't know what either one of us would have done. Aubrey, Mama helped me raise all my kids. Mama went with me to all of Aubrey's doctor's appointments, all of Aubrey's surgeries. Mama was there, and I was a kid raising kids, and Mama helped me. And Aubrey even called her Mama. And I wish I had a video of Aubrey calling her Mama when Aubrey was little, because it would just light up my mama. Like, Aubrey was her great-grandchild and my mama. So when Aubrey would call her Mama, Mama would just light up, and she would say, Mama's here, baby. What is it? Mama's here. And I told Mama, I said, I would tell her, I would, every time Aubrey would do that, I would say, if it had been anybody else that she called Mama, that I would be really upset. But it warms my heart, and I love to hear her call you that, because I know how much love she has for you, because I feel the same way. So, anyways. So, I took her to the doctor that day at 6 months old. They said she was teething. For her just to...
Me?
Yes, Aubrey, that's you. For her to take Tylenol. I think I'm going to get her to bed. You want me to get you to bed? Tucked in? All these pictures are exciting, aren't they?
Mommy.
I know. So, we come home on Tylenol. I'll tell you that for the 15th time now. And her dad worked second shift, and we lived in a single wide trailer. And our schedule or routine was, I would fix dinner every night, give the girls their bath, feed the girls, give them their bath, and put them to bed. And she slept in my bed, and she had a crib right next to mine, and Ashlyn slept with us too. And I would put the girls to bed, and he would come in. He got off at 11, would be home around 11:30, and I would fix his plate and hand it to him. So his routine when he come in the door would be to take off his boots, take everything, his cell phone, his keys, and all the other junk he had, his wallet, in his pockets, lay it on the kitchen counter, go straight into the master bedroom, straight into the master bathroom. He would pee, wash his hands, and then come back and check on the girls in the bed, and then come down the hall into the living room, sit in the couch, and I would give him his plate for dinner. Or he would get it as he come in and come through, and we would sit down and talk about our day. So that was our normal routine. Sorry, she's had junk. She's been sick. I told you Logan had mono, and I've been asking you to pray for him and the baby and all my kids. It's went through everybody. So, anyhow,
Lolo's.
So that night he come home. Right before he come home, from work, I had just checked on both the girls. They were fine. I'd give Aubrey some Tylenol. Not maybe an hour before that. So everything was good. And he come in the door like normal, took his boots off, laid all of his stuff on the counter out of his pockets, went down the hallway to do his thing, and checked on the girls, and he come back down the hallway. And I was sitting on the couch when he come back down the hallway. And as he was coming back, the Lord spoke to me, and he said, Aubrey, danger, get to her. And it was like emergency. And as he was coming back down the hallway, that's when the Lord spoke to me. And I jumped up off the couch and I said, "Is Aubrey okay?" And he looked at me and he said, "Yeah, she's fine." And I knew better. And the only way I know how to describe this to you is when Jesus gave Judas Iscariot sopped the bread, and Jesus leaned over to him and said, "Go and do what you must." And when he sopped the bread, Satan entered into him, and Jesus leaned over to him and said, "Go and do what you must." And then he went and betrayed Jesus. The other disciples thought he was going to do something with the poor or whatever, but he went and turned Jesus in to betray him with a kiss in the garden. So Jesus knew what he was going to do, and he knew the devil had entered into him. Well, this night, the Lord said, "Aubrey, danger, get to her." Jumped up off the couch. Her dad was coming back down the hall. And I said, "Is Aubrey okay?" And he said, "Yeah, she's fine." I knew better. I knew the Lord himself had just told me. And I run down that hallway, and when I got into the bedroom, Aubrey was purple and blue, and I yanked back the covers and screamed, yanked her up out of the bed, and she was going, and her eyes were rolling in the back of her head, and she was just shaking all over. I remember her lips being so blue, and her body just being purple and blue, and she was burning up with fever. So I grabbed her up, and I grab Ashley, and I run back down the hallway, and I'm screaming at him to call 911. Aubrey's not breathing. Something's wrong. And he's just looking at me like all nonchalant, like it wasn't a big deal. And he was just procrastinating. He couldn't find his keys. He couldn't find his phone. I found his phone. I grabbed a hold of it. I took off out to the truck as he was putting his boots on. And it was like procrastination. And he gets out there. The truck don't want to crank. It's like it's cold or something. Sometimes that old Ford truck it'd take a few times before it would turn over. And it's like you need to pray over it before it would crank. But anyways, he finally gets us going down the road. I'm on the phone with 911. I'm stripping Aubrey completely naked. It's cold outside. Aubrey was born in July, and she's 6 months old, so it was winter. And Ashlyn's standing up in the truck seat beside me, and I'm trying to do CPR with Aubrey, trying to talk to them on this little flip phone, and we're driving toward the hospital. And all I can think is, did I give her too much Tylenol? Is she having an allergic reaction to Tylenol? At that point, I had never seen a seizure. And what she was doing was having a febrile seizure. Because of the undiagnosed urinary tract infection, her fever spiked that night as her body was fighting the infection. And it caused her to have a febrile seizure. So we're driving out the driveway and on the road, and there's this church called Holly Creek Cool Springs Baptist Church. That's about 2 minutes from our house. And I saw a fire truck and an ambulance sitting in that parking lot that night at almost midnight. And her dad's just going to keep on driving by. And I scream and yell, "Stop!" And he hits on the brakes and he backs up. And we go into the parking lot of the church. I jump out and I'm running Aubrey to the back of this ambulance door. And I'm beating on the door, screaming, "Help me, my baby. She's not breathing, please." And they sling open the ambulance doors, and the EMT looks at her. looks at her, and he grabs her, and he says, "Just get there." And they shut the doors, they turned on the lights and the sirens, and they took off. And all I could see was the lights and the sirens fading off into the distance. And we couldn't keep up with them. And at that point, I was literally in shock. And I couldn't do nothing but pray. I knew it was the Holy Ghost. It just kept coming out of me, just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. And her dad looked over at me and cussed me. He was already angry, very angry for some reason. And he cussed me and told me to shut up. And at that moment, I knew that was Satan. I knew Satan was driving that truck. But I didn't care. I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop praying. It was just flowing out. And we get to the hospital. I jump out of the truck as we pull in the parking lot because I saw the ambulance driver standing at the door doing like this, the door of the ER, motioning for me. I jump out, and he runs me back to this OR room. And I remember standing in the doorway of this OR room, and I seen Aubrey laying on that stretcher bed, and that bed swallowed her whole. And they had her foot cut wide open, and there's just doctors and nurses going around every which way. They were running around like chickens with their heads cut off, and you could see the fear of panic on their face. And they had her foot cut wide open because they were trying to find a main vein or artery that they could get seizure medication into. The nurses were throwing cold rags on her, trying to get her temperature down. And they had given her a enema to drop her fever. They had given her some Valium rectally. And they were trying, she was still seizing. She was still having a seizure when I saw her. They were trying to find a main vein or artery to get seizure medication into. They'd never seen a baby like Aubrey because her muscle and joint disorder is so rare. And the other thing, I don't even think I mentioned it. Aubrey does not have what they call traditional landmarks on the inside of her body. Her veins are so tiny, they're like a single thread of cotton. And we have a lot of, let me see your feet anyways. Speaking of that, we have a lot of, give me that one. A lot of issues with circulation. And I'm rubbing her feet. But her, she doesn't have traditional landmarks where all our main veins and arteries are located. Hers are not all located in the traditional spots that ours are. So when they cut her foot wide open, she's still got the scar. I'll show it to you. Let's see. I don't know if you can, you might not be able to see it, but it's right here. Let's see, let's try to slide over this way. You probably can't see it. But anyhow, they had cut her foot wide open, trying to find a main vein or artery. So finally, at that point, I knew there was like nothing. There was nothing that they could do that they weren't already doing. And the only answer was my father. So I walked into the OR room beside Aubrey's bed, and I dropped to the floor on my knees, put one hand on her belly and one hand on her head, and I began to cry out to my father. And I said, God, please, I'll do anything. I'll go to church every Sunday if that's what you want. I said, just please save her. And the doctor stopped me, and he said, ma'am, you're going to have to take your hands off of her. We're trying to cool her down, and you're putting body heat on her. So I moved my hands. I was a little offended because I knew the only answer was God at this point. And finally, they found a vein in the top of her head, got seizure medication into it, sewed her foot up, got her to stop seizing, and things started to calm down. And the doctor come and told me that she had an undiagnosed urinary tract infection and was having a febrile seizure from that, and told me that if the ambulance had not been sitting at that church next to our house, that we would have not made it to the hospital with her, that she would have died on the way there because she would have been brain dead. He said 3 minutes, after 3 minutes of your body not getting oxygen to your brain, you go brain dead. And he said you begin to go brain dead. He said, so that ambulance sitting at that church is what saved her. And at that moment, I began to realize everything that had just happened, that God himself saved her. He warned me. He told me, Aubrey, danger, get to her. And then he had the ambulance sitting there that night at that church. And that EMT also told me that night that it was just by luck they were sitting there that night, that they didn't normally sit there at that church, that they just happened to be there because there was a drug bust going on nearby and they were there for backup. So God saved Aubrey at 6 months old when the devil tried to kill her. You tired? You ready for bed? You getting tired? So I'm going to come back with a part 3, and I will tell you about some miracles that we saw throughout Aubrey's life. And I'm going to put her to bed. Tell them good night.
Night.
Say bye.
Bye.
I'll put her to bed, and then I'll come back with a part 3. And I want to tell you, I've got it in another video, but I'm going to share it again with you for this series to tell you how I know what time we're in and that God's going to heal her. And there's going to be miracles and like we've never saw. Healings and people being drawn to him. So many coming to the Lord. And you want to tell them about God heal you?
Love.
Marshmallows? Now do you want to tell them about God healing you?
Tell me.
Huh? You want to tell them about God healing you? So, you need something to drink?
I can't.
Tents. She likes tents too.
Up.
Blow them up. She likes to blow up tents. So, we'll be back with part 3. Tell them bye.
Bye.